Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Cool Down Lap presented by Midwest Motorsports. I'm your host, Anthony Castor, driver of the 8 car in the Cup Series, and I'm joined here with James Johnson, the voice of Midwest Motorsports. He covers all of our broadcasting needs. So, this week we're going to do something a little bit different here, guys. Normally we go in and we do our This Week in Motorsports, and I'll pick a subject. James will pick a subject. JT, who's not with us tonight, will pick a subject, and we'll go through that. But since there was so much that happened over the weekend, both with real life, iRacing, everything, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. So, uh, James, what did you think of the F1 race? We'll start there.
Man, I really love the track. Good evening, Ant. Thanks for the introduction, man. It's great to be here as always on the Cool Down Lap. I watched every minute of qualifying and the race F1, and I love the track. Imola, so much history. I don't know if you saw the warm up, but Sebastian Vettel took Ayrton Senna's McLaren MP44 around the track as a tribute. I think it was like the 30th or 40th anniversary of his passing. So um, anyway, it was special. Um, which I'm a Sebastian Vettel fan. The race itself was boring. Well, I don't want to say boring. They're going around Imola, hauling the mail and trying to manage all of the things that are going on in the F1 race. So it's anything but boring. But um, not a lot of action until the last few laps when Lando Norris was closing in on Max. I was hoping he was going to be able to catch him, but it just didn't play out that way. Um, so Max Verstappen runs away with it, but I'm glad to see McLaren competitive again. It wasn't just a fluke in Miami.
Yeah, I was watching that. Happy to see Lando running as great as he is. I mean, he over the last couple of years, I feel like he's really needed this, where he's competing for wins consistently. So it was a good race. I enjoyed watching it. It's good to see Max have to actually drive and uh, strategize a little to save his tires or burn his tires now, and battery. I seen a subject on him running his battery down low, and he was complaining about not having enough battery. So there's there's a good bit to watch. I believe they're at, is it Monaco next week?
Monaco coming up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't think there's much passing that happens there. I think the cars are too wide. So
Yeah, qualifying is a big deal at Monaco, that's for sure.
yeah, so just watch qualifying, and I think that'll be about it.
um, well, I do want to touch on one more thing you mentioned about the battery. It just goes to show that there's so much unknown. I mean, that was a great graphic they showed when they showed how much battery was left and how much battery per lap they're using versus they're regenerating and when they can choose to deploy a lot. It just goes to show how complicated these hybrid engines are in the era of F1 that we're in right now. There's so much that's almost a mystery to even the advanced casual fan. I consider myself a casual fan. I don't know all the ins and outs of especially F1 hybrid stuff, but there's a lot going on that we don't get to realize until they bring it to us, which is another exciting thing about keeps me motivated to keep doing broadcasting is learning new ways to bring the action to the viewers. So I definitely learned a lot, and I pay attention when I'm watching all forms of racing.
Yeah, that I'd have to say that was my first time seeing that graphic of the battery. I've been watching F1 probably the last couple seasons, and that's the first time I've seen that one. So it's interesting that they can pull that information, just throw it right on the TV as soon as they start talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of all the SMT stuff that they're complaining about being able to share and scrape off the broadcast so they can spy on their competitors. Maybe that's why we haven't seen something like that before because they didn't want the information shared. It was proprietary to the teams. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating, but um, yeah. It's pretty cool. Formula One's definitely the leading technology form of motorsport, I think.
For sure. So we're gonna switch gears here and head over to, I guess, what we could call the cousin of Formula One,
The
IndyCar.
other the other open wheel series,
Yeah, the other open wheel series.
the month of May is special, isn't it?
Oh my word! I didn't realize people turned out in the droves. Thousands and thousands of people show up just to watch them practice and qualify for basically the month of May.
Yeah. I really like the way they did the road course the first 2 weeks and Indy 500 the second 2 weeks. Our buddy Steve Hansel spent a couple of days there. I think he lives in the area or something. So he shared some pictures on the Discord chat. It was fun to see.
Yeah, I believe he is a local to Indianapolis. That's good. He gets to go see that kind of stuff. So qualifying practice. Penske looks like they're running the house right now, which, I mean, Penske owned house, so let's see how it shakes out during the race. But it looks like Penske kind of has a foot up on the IndyCar races here.
I love the way they do qualifying with the 4 lap average speed. It's not just a one hot lap. They got to do 4 laps and they take your average of all 4 laps. And Scott McLaughlin put it on the pole with the fastest ever 4 lap qualifying run, over 234 average over all 4 laps. Sick.
Yeah, that if I am correct, that was a new record.
Yes. Fastest Indy qualifying ever in the history of F1. The 241 going into turn one, 241 miles an hour. Crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear about all the different things they can change. Like the broadcasters talking about messing with weight jackers and the front suspension in a way so they can get more turn in or increase the downforce on the cars. Um, it was actually kind of funny when I think somebody was talking to Larson, like how compared to IndyCar, how many adjustments can you make inside of NASCAR? And he's like, none. And it's like brake bias, that's it. But it was good to see. Speaking of Larson, it looks like he's kind of fitting in there with the open wheel crowd. Starting fifth, made it to the Fast Six, and he, if I heard correctly, did lay the fastest rookie lap in qualifying.
Young money, baby.
Yeah, he's surprising a lot of people, which is good to see that somebody from NASCAR can come over and get in those cars and run them well. I'd love to see the opposite. I'd love to see one of these guys from either Aero or McLaren or Penske come over to Cup and either try to run it in reverse, run the Indy 500, and try to run the Coke 600. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see.
Their freaking brain would explode if they try to get in that big old NASCAR and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be insane to practice with that open wheel car, or basically you're running that open wheel car yearly, daily, just getting into it, and then going to like that cow that is the Cup car would be insane.
Yeah, I don't think they would do as well as Kyle Larson. I honestly, I have to give Kurt Busch a lot of credit too, man. I mean, he went up there with a goal, and when he did the double, and I think he finished in the top 10. I don't think he qualified great, but maybe even not in the top 10. I'll have to look it up. And I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. But no, Kurt Busch held his own up at Indy, and then came down and whatever happened in the 600. But um, I think he did the whole crew NASCAR world proud up there at Indy. And I don't think that the Indy locals or anybody that knows about IndyCar racing snubs their nose at NASCAR as much as they have before Kyle Larson. I think Johnny Andretti was the first one that did it. If I saw the show, if I remember the show that I saw correctly, but they've been having a lot of specials during some of the rain delays at Indy, and I think Johnny Andretti was one of the first ones that did it, and he didn't do as well as Kyle Busch, and I think Kyle Larson's got a chance of winning.
Yeah. Uh, Smoke also did it, correct? Or did
Tony
Smoke come
Stewart.
from Indy? Yeah.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Thank you. When he
Yeah.
was racing for Gibbs.
Interesting to see that guy getting an Indy car. Back then, he kind of put me in mind of a huskier dude.
Yeah, let's say the seat insert was probably a little bigger.
So, we'll go ahead and move over to the not related in any way NASCAR All Star race that happened over the weekend. Uh,
Man,
how did you feel about those tires, man? We'll start there.
well, we could talk about him for sure. I mean, as much of a deal, they made such a big deal about it. The option tire is going to wear out. You're going to run 2 laps, and you can take them off and keep them and save them to the end for a late caution or something. And they went the whole 100 laps. I think, I don't know. I think we need to give them another chance. Don't get me wrong. Um, I don't know. I wasn't impressed. I'd like to see him on a bigger track. Maybe a track that with a more abrasive asphalt.
So I've seen a lot of people pushing for them to take that tire to New Hampshire.
There you go.
So I mean, it's they were predicting. I think Larry McReynolds was saying right around lap 70, 75, those tires should fall off. But they were going 100 laps and they still looked okay. But I think whenever they run these practice sessions during the day and you get all this tire data, and then you have a night race, I don't think I don't think it was going to translate like they thought it would. Now, if it was a daytime race and
True.
you get the track all warm and rubber starts sticking, and I think then those tires wear around lap 70 like they're thinking. But I don't know, man. It was cool to see the tire. The tire was definitely faster. The soft tire was definitely faster. Um, you seen those Penske guys as soon as lap 2 happened? Those Penske guys stayed out. Well, most of Ford stayed out on that intermediate tire or regular tire, you'd call it. And everybody else came in, pulled off the reds, and put on the regular tire.
Right.
I did that
Um,
backwards, but
yeah, I think yeah, right. They stayed
uh,
on the
yeah, yeah, and they were pulling away, man.
yeah. I'm glad that they're faster, so that concept is proven. The wear factor is still unknown. I think I'm not surprised Joey Logano won because didn't he run the tire test when they were there? Whenever they were doing the tire test originally, like 3 or 4 months ago, was it December?
He said it
Anyway,
was some kind of ungodly amount of laps they ran, like 600, I think.
right, something like that. So I mean, come on, if you got 600 laps around a track that nobody else can practice, it's got to be a little bit of an advantage.
Of course. So what did you think about Stenhouse putting it 3 wide, Kyle Busch being upset by it and walling him?
Well, I'm glad they had it, because at least it gave something for Fox to put on as a highlight of the weekend because it wasn't the racing, in my opinion. Um, Man, I don't think Ricky touched him. I think Kyle Busch walled himself and needed somebody to blame just because I'm sure he's frustrated. Kyle Busch has gone from being in a top Gibbs car to running with Childers, and Childers is just not at the top right now. I mean, it ebbs and flows, and I hope Childers gets it back. He deserves to be a front runner. I have a lot of respect for Richard Childers. Obviously, his history is, he's a legend in the sport. So
Hmm.
everybody hates seeing anybody down like that, especially Richard Childers, and especially Kyle Busch. Love him or hate him, I like him. I think he's a great driver. Um, think he was a little over his head, but just the
Yeah.
fact that I'm more disappointed in Ricky Stenhouse's shorts. I don't know what he was wearing. It looks like he was borrowed the shorts from his kid or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He doesn't have kids. Looks like he stole some shorts from somebody, but um, he got a good lick in though.
Oh yeah. Do you see any kind of penalties for? I think they let Stenhouse and Bush go, but do you see anything for the pit crew interjecting or Stenhouse's dad kind of
Yeah,
walloping Bush a couple times?
and I don't only because they were on Childers' trailer, and the guy was in his right, I think, to get everybody off of his trailer. So uh, somebody had to break him up.
Yeah, I could see them probably doing a fine for Stenhouse's dad.
I can see him taking Stenhouse's dad's hard card away for a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah, that too. Um, Aside from that, I'd say it was a okay race. I mean, Larson showed if you pushed it, the tire fall off could happen because he burned out his right rear. But aside from that, uh, it was just an okay race. The fight saved it, I'd say, and that was really it. The soft tire, the intrigue of the soft tire, knowing that there's another option in the future, also was cool to see during the All Star race.
I think it was probably a dry run for Kyle Larson too. You know, to run an IndyCar that same day and then get in a helicopter and fly down and just kind of get the feeling of this is what it's going to be like. This is how you rush, or when to rush and when not to rush, when to eat. Just little things like that to kind of a dry run for next weekend's double.
Yeah, yeah, for
And Kyle
sure.
Larson did amazing in the race, man. Holy crap! After qualifying so well at Indy and then coming down and coming from the back, up to the top 10 in the Cup car on a short track with the limited laps and no practice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no
pretty
practice at
awesome.
all. You're relying on Kevin Harvick to do that. But did you see anything? We'll touch on this real quick and then we'll hop into it. But did you see anything in the rumor mill about Stuart Haas Racing and their charters?
I I know there's a couple of I know Tony Stewart's almost been like a absentee owner the last couple of years. Um,
Yeah,
he's between the wedding and going drag racing. He's got enough distractions on his plate.
yeah. I seen a tweet this morning. I didn't get to read like the article, but they said that there's Stuart Haas Racing drivers. I didn't see who they named or if they did name them that are reaching out to other teams because they think that the charters ain't going to be there next year.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the crew, the people that shop. When you go from a four-car team to a two-car team, half the building's going to be losing their job.
Well,
So
I think they're talking about all four charters going.
wow,
Yeah, and they're saying it could drop the they're saying it could drop the price for the charters because I
they're
think they were rating them at 40 million a charter, but since there's going to be four on the market, could be 20 to 30.
they're flooding the market. Wow.
Yeah,
But why would they do that though when they can get more? They're only cutting themselves in the foot.
yeah.
You know?
Maybe Haas just wants out of it.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I I was waiting for Haas to get out of F1 to be honest and sell his thing to Andretti, but I'm glad they didn't. But you know, it just makes you wonder. Nothing lasts forever. It's a revolving door.
That it is. So it'd be interesting to see maybe 2311 picks up another charter, or
Spire's looking, I think.
I think Spire and
Trackhouse,
Trackhouse are actually joining together. They're doing a
right?
merger, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there, and then uh, I know they're talking about the possibility of other manufacturers coming on in the next couple years. So
Who are they talking
maybe a whole
about?
new team. I know they're talking about
Honda or Nissan or
they were talking about Honda for sure,
really?
um, but I think they were saying that Honda wants to see something about NASCAR kind of transitioning to a hybrid engine, or Honda being able to bring a hybrid engine, and NASCAR, the teams that are there now can still run their uh, naturally aspirated V8 engines. But there was a so if you listen to podcasts, listen to Junior's download recently,
I
because
have that.
he talks with one of the NASCAR competition guys, Elton Sawyer, and he actually talks about uh, possible manufacturers wanting to come in, but they want to see a different direction, like a hybrid engine. And he goes over like all the difficulties of trying to level the playing field when you have a naturally aspirated V8 going against a hybrid engine. So you'd have to come up with different things to either cut power to this one or raise the power on this one.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it, but I I think it's going to be a cluster if they have two different kinds of engine packages out there.
It reminds me of the balance of performance in IMSA. You know, they do the roar before the 24, and sometimes they'll give Porsche a restrictor, a smaller air restrictor, or a larger air restrictor that lets less air in, however you want to go about it, to rob the horsepower, choke it a little bit, you know, or a downforce benefit, you know. But they do that a little bit with the nose um, of the three different manufacturers. So there's a little bit of balance of performance already, but I can't imagine doing it horsepower wise or drivetrain related because I mean it would come down to acceleration in the top end. You know, there's two different the torque versus horsepower. I don't know. It's not something I would want to police.
Well, that's exactly what you were talking about, was what they were talking about on the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance, listen to it. It's a pretty good listen for some of the things they were looking at coming down the pipe in the future. But
Dale Jr. should have just called me and you, Ant. Had him
exactly, we could
straight.
have just talked them through it.
Oh man. Well, it was a great week for motorsports. I'm really excited about the Indy 500. I'm not going to miss a lap.
Same here. It's going to be a great week for racing this weekend. So aside from Monaco, it's going to be a good week. And
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch the replay of the Coke 600 though. I think we got a cup race going on in Midwest Motorsports. That
oh yeah, we do.
we might be we might be a little busy at the time, but I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, it's a long race, so we'll be good.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're gonna go ahead and cut into our races this week. So we'll go ahead and start with the road side of things. I know we didn't have a broadcast due to technical difficulties, but um, we were out at Road Atlanta, correct?
Yes, the club circuit, which is it cuts off the back. It cuts out turn 6 and 7 basically, which is a straightaway before they go out onto the back end. And it threw a curveball for quite a few people. I was able to watch race control. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody out there that was counting on the broadcast. Some technical difficulties are impossible to overcome at the time, and everybody here is volunteering, and it's so appreciative of all the support that we get. And sometimes things just don't work out, and this was one of those times. And so we tried our best, but couldn't make it in time. So um, I'm glad that the race went off well. I was able to do a little cross training and sit in the race control booth with Josh Watt and listen to him run the drivers meeting and see how he does race control and what he's looking at. And uh, dude, he's got, you know, three screens going with so much data in front of him. It's amazing how he does that by himself and run the broadcast stream on top of it. So yeah, I have even more respect for Josh Watt after shadowing him in the race control. But the action on track was pretty intense, man. Again, a three-way battle with Brian Coxon, Jason Phillips, and Josh Bloom, and our boy JT. I was hoping he would be here tonight so he could tell us how he actually got in the top five. But no, seriously, he qualified fifth and was running inside the top five and on the podium for a little while during pit rotations, but was running a truly earned fourth place. He and Steve Hansel went at it for 5 or 6 laps. Justin and John Daniels, both Porsches, were going at it for all. Man, there were battles up and down the track. It's a really short lap, under a minute per lap. So pretty incredible racing. Brian Coxon ended up coming out with the win. Jason Phillips second by under a second
Oh
at
yeah, it
the
looks
end.
tight.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And they and Josh Bloom was only like 3 or 4 seconds behind. And on the very last lap, coming to the checkered flag, somebody spins out in the rejoin track, the where the track goes from the old circuit and cuts through to the other half of the circuit, um, and spun out, and it's completely blind. If you're on the inside driver's right of the grass, the cars are coming. There's really no way to rejoin safely. Um, and came out right. He waited and waited and thought he saw a gap. And right as he comes around, here comes Josh Bloom out of third place. And Josh
Mm.
Bloom nails him, goes up to the sky. I mean, rolls over. I felt so bad for Josh Bloom. Hopefully, he's not too mad. He did not protest. So, full credit to Josh Bloom. I have to, um, you know, give him some credit. He wasn't happy about it. It's not the first time that um, he's had some bad luck in the last couple of laps of these GT4 races. If it wasn't for bad luck, I'm sure Josh Bloom would be much higher in the points than he is. But that's you have to run all the laps. So it's just bad timing. Again, we're just doing Monday night family board games, right? We're not racing for anything, but gosh, as much time and effort as you put into this, when you get bad luck after bad luck after bad luck, it definitely gets my heartbreak award. Um, I know it's true, and I do have a heart, and my heart broke for Josh Bloom, man. But it was absolutely incredible racing. On the AM side, again, it's Ty Williams and Ian Bakaitis. Um, looks like Ian Bakaitis missed this one though. So Ty Williams got the AM and Dan Gish. Oh, Stephen Halligan
Yeah.
ended up winning the BMW. And I've not seen Stephen Halligan, so that might have been his first race
Well, welcome to the Road Series side
with
of
a
things
win
with the first race. Dang.
and a BMW. Um, so hopefully Steve Halligan signed up. I'll check the Discord in a couple of minutes and make sure he signed up to come to our next race this week, which is in Interlagos in Brazil. We're going to do that for 60 minutes tomorrow night. Open session at 7 o'clock, and the GT4 is over the halfway point, and still lots of racing left. So, um, like I say, there's a lot to fight for. The championship standings are super tight. The top three, top four, actually, Michael Odell's still in it. Josh Bloom in fifth is still in it too, with just over 1,000 points separating them. So, um, yeah, lots of racing going on GT4 wise on Tuesday. On the AM standings, Ian Bakaitis and Ty Williams are really close, and Niles Kula. Did you know that Niles is racing in Latvia? I don't know if he's from
Ah.
Latvia or if he's racing in Latvia. I was checking out his fun facts form, and there'll be more on Niles Kula as during tomorrow's broadcast. Um, so looking
So,
forward to learning more about him.
if you could, please, if you know, where in the world is Latvia?
Yeah, it's Eastern Europe.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it definitely sounds like a Eastern Europe kind of place.
And I
Um,
might be speaking out of turn. I mean, you asked me a geography question. I did not do
uh,
well in geography in school, but
been the Atlas.
I was more life sciences and earth sciences than geography. But
Yeah, I was just looking over the Pro Division champ standings. It looks like we got a tie there in 10th or 10th place. It looks like Andrew Willis and John Daniels are tied.
is that in the overall championship
That
or
would
the
be your
AM?
Pro Division championship.
Yeah, I thought Ty Williams was an AM. I could be wrong.
Oh no, Andrew Willis and John
Andrew Willis.
Daniels. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's pretty awesome. We know John Daniels, yeah, tied for 10th.
Yeah, and I think Gleckner isn't far behind them in 11th, so there's a little tight race there to get into the top 10.
Yeah, Faustino in 13th, 5,500 points to 5675 for John Daniels and Andrew Willis. So, I mean, yeah, the midfield always is really close. Um, it's exciting. And again, lots of racing left. I think we're coming up on round 9 or 10. Oh, we're coming up on round 11 this week.
Oh man, you guys are moving along.
Yep, it's awesome. And broadcast is definitely back up. Everything is tested, and we had a good show Sunday. We'll talk more about Sunday's show, but yeah, really happy with the road series and how great racing they continue to do it week after week.
For sure. So we'll go ahead and move into the truck race that occurred Friday night. It was the duels at Daytona.
Yes, indeed.
Um,
You
I got
you don't do trucks, do you?
I do not race trucks. I got to watch this race through the eyes of Justin Thaler.
The screw
I
loose twitch.
yeah, I got to watch his stream and honestly, it looked like a clean race, guys. Two cautions. Uh, not too bad, especially for a super speedway. I'd say that's really good. But incident counts are up a little. I didn't get to see where those happened at, whether it was on pit road or after everybody tried to cross the line 12 wide.
Yeah, they're definitely coming to the line was madness. Um, again, the broadcast stream didn't make it, but um, I, like you, watched through Justin's stream. It was going back and forth a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, 30 laps, and yeah, I think it was less than an hour, right? If I can see the race results. I mean, it was super cool. I thought it was super clean to only have two cautions. I'm all about it. They did go three wide until the very end. You know, yeah, I was super impressed
Yeah. Um,
with the
who?
car count too. There were like 35 of them.
Yeah. Who did JT end up pushing to the win?
Colton Lanford.
Colton Lanford.
Congratulations, Colton Lanford, and the 25 truck.
Yeah, congrats. You are leading the truck series by 1 point
Points.
currently. You
That's
are
right.
you are currently in the provisional championship position. So looking forward to trucks this Sunday. Much longer Daytona race. I believe it's 75 laps. No, yeah, 75 laps in trucks. We are having one competition caution. If I remember correctly, I believe it's at lap 20, which,
Sweet.
yeah, which should be pretty fun to see how that shakes out, especially with our first time throwing a competition caution. Uh, what do
So,
you what do you expect to see out of this? Do you expect to see more of the same, kind of like a two caution race, or everybody's just going to kind of let the reins go?
um, I think I think that everybody. had so much fun Friday night running mostly 2 wide. They didn't go 3 wide very often. I do remember Mike Samia being the first one to kinda jump up high and go along the wall and made up some ground and then tucked back in to the lead once he got around him. It's just Mike Samia's got some magic. I don't know how he does it, but he seems to just get a good run and carries it and makes it through. I don't know if he closes his eyes and keeps his foot in the on the floor or what, but I think that everybody had a great time. You know, it's a lot of fun when you're out there racing and pushing and letting off the throttle and letting your buddy in so that you don't wreck the whole field and we don't have to do pacing laps. I think that everybody enjoyed running laps at speed, that they realize that it can be done and it can be fun and you can still get a run coming to the flag. So I expect to see some more clean racing. Now, of course, I think somebody's going to get frustrated or, want to, gets tired of giving and wants to take, and so accidents are going to happen. But I think I think they're going to be all right. I'm also really impressed with the fact that every time there was a caution in the restarts, that they definitely went past the first 5 laps without getting a lot of wrecks or 4Xs. So I really like that 5 lap rule. I think that's great, great move.
Yeah, that does go into effect this weekend. So Friday night, guys, be on the lookout. No cautions within the first 5 laps after a yellow or after the start of the race. So be cautious, not caution.
Right, right.
It's looking like currently 29 people in the truck series set to attend that race. So 6 taken provisional. So if there anybody that has not reacted, please react so we know how to uh, move forward with the race. If you don't plan on running still, just put no provisional, not attending. That way we can make sure you guys are still active in the league.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move to Cup Series. So if you guys have not noticed yet, our guy who normally ends up taking our screenshots, I guess, has vacation days and he decided to use them. So John Daniels, I believe is his name, gentleman who won the Cup Series race.
Yeah, John Daniels. How about that?
Yeah, he decided to snap his own screenshot, so I shamelessly stole one and threw it in here. Thank you, John. Um, so hopefully next week I get some more cool screenshots I can throw in there of your guys' cars and everything will look pretty again. But Cup Series for the duels. I did run in this one. I took the boneheaded move of starting in the back to see if I could work my way to the front, and let me tell you, once that rear end group of cars loses the draft,
Yeah.
it just I don't know why they can't catch back up, but it just seems like either the person behind the lead car doesn't want to push that lead car down the backstretch, but they just ride at a certain speed, and you don't make any speed up. And you don't want to be the guy that just jumps out to pass them because then you're the guy that's dragging that whole group back. So um, I had to ride around back there, and then our first caution came out, and it happened again. So definitely going to be more aggressive this Sunday. But what'd you see from the race there?
Oh man, I was in the booth calling it, and I like to focus on the front because I think that's where the race is. Um, but man, I did notice, like you said, Ant, that once that back group of cars, I think there were 6 or 8 of them, dropped back, starting with Olavason. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they broke the draft and couldn't catch up. The front 8 or 10 kind of took off and stayed 2 wide and didn't risk it going 3 wide. And I think that it just goes to show that a little bit of give and well, and staying in line and building that energy up over a number of laps is better than trying to cross over and get in front and then drop back and pass the next guy and tuck back in line kind of thing. So as long as you stay in line and keep pushing each other, you can build that energy and momentum, and it can build and accumulate. And so, and it's easy for me to say because I'm in the booth, right? So,
Yeah.
behind the wheel, when you're, driving, trying to win, it's a different story. So, I mean, what's it like for you, Ant? I'm sure you've lost the draft. If you're not doing in-car communication with them, how are you expect to catch back up?
Well, I mean that's kind of the catch-22 there with the with us trying we try and keep our mic chatter down so you can't really talk to the other drivers in front of you. Trust me, if I could have, I would have came over the comms and told them like, "Hey, straight line it, guys. You're going to get bumped down the straight stretch and back stretch." Um, but normally, if I get behind somebody, just to kind of let them know I'm sticking with them, I'll get right on their bumper and just stay with them. Like, because when you're going into a corner, you can stay with them and then come out of the corner, stay with them, and you aren't showing your nose, like you aren't showing like you're going to try and dip out and pass them. That's normally how I show most of the people, unless it's somebody in like our admin chat. I'll tell them like, "Hey, all right, I'm going to work with you." But if you're getting bumped by me down the back stretch, just know I'm drafting with you. If I'm jumping out to pass you, it's just I can't work with you. It's something between my car, your car, how you're driving, how I'm driving. Or the guy behind you isn't pushing you, and we aren't going anywhere. So I'm going to try and get around you and have you guys push me.
And if I can't get around you, I'll show you another use for a bumper. I hear I hear that the number 8 has a reputation,
Yeah.
and something about the number 4 too. 8 and half of 8 is 4, and then half of 4 is 2. So those 3 numbers seem to have a reputation.
Oh, damn. JT didn't. I don't think JT did the math when he chose that new number.
That's what happens when you don't show up. You get picked on.
Yeah. Um. No,
No,
it's cool. I mean, we have what's he call him? Chastain, Jason Chastain out there.
Jason Chastain.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I'm trying to keep these bumpers clean for most of the season. Uh, but I I'm definitely going to be more aggressive this Sunday. I ain't hanging around the back and losing that draft because without
Yeah.
without the stages, and you learn this over the duels when we had that really long run. Without the yellows, we're going to get stretched out, and then green flag. Sorry, green flag pit stops matter more.
Yes.
Which I don't know what happened on the green flag pit stops.
It was
The first,
incredible. I lost
well,
track, man. It was there were 4 or 5 different groups of people that they were as much as 10, 12 laps apart. Like I couldn't keep up with. For a while Chris Taylor and Colin Huffman were out in front, and I knew they had to pit yet, but behind them I couldn't tell who was it because there were 2 different groups that came down. It was like Aaron Holroyd and that group. I think Justin was with them. No,
yeah,
Justin was with Eric. I don't remember.
I think Holroyd, Huffman,
Yeah,
Eric, and Justin I believe they all pitted at the same time.
right.
Uh, I tried to pit, and I was probably a good, I don't know, 8 seconds behind those guys. And I tried to pit with them, but let's back it up here. So the lap
Yeah,
before, a big group went into pit, and
yeah,
they collected each other on the pit lane.
yeah. Ryan Blaney. Walker McNulty got crossed up on entry and just took Mike Samia out to the grass. And Samia thought he was going to pass his pit box, so he just gassed it up and went back around, and he ended up going a lap down and getting caught up in that lead group. So
Yep.
that was that.
And then the next lap, I believe it was Huffman, Holroyd, Eric, Justin all went to pit in. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dip in too. So I peel off the racing line, at speed, coming down to the pit, and I see another car sideways. on pit road. I'm like, man, what the heck's going on here?
Oh no.
So I'm going in, downshifting, trying to hit my marks, hoping that car doesn't come out, and it starts to come out a hair bit more, and I end up just blindsiding it. And
Is
effectively,
the
that ruined
driver
my
okay?
race. He fared better than me. I think he used his fast repair. I didn't have enough time to queue mine up. He finished better than I did. So,
You had your Hans device and your seatbelts on though, right?
oh yeah, airbags deployed.
Okay, man, that's a bummer.
Yeah. So going into Sunday, I'm going to try to get to the front faster. I'm definitely going to watch pit road entry because that was green flag pit stops at Daytona can be sketchy.
Yeah. So what's the key, Ant? I mean, coming onto pit road, what's your advice? Do you find a marker in practice and know that that's where you start to downshift, or did you wheel hop going into it, or how do you get
Um,
it so wrong coming into the pit?
so I think a lot of people just miss their mark and either lock their brakes up, sliding in and just hit somebody else, or they come into it and they try to beat the person that they're racing with into the pits and they go in too wide and end up door slamming each other. For me, I definitely practice my pit stop. I never used to, but uh, the last season or two, I try and go in at speed during practice a couple times just to figure out what kind of braking threshold I can do to where I can lock up, where I can brake at, and when I should start downshifting so I ain't wheel hopping. But Daytona and Talladega are fun ones because you can just fly into it, find your marker, and just start getting on the brakes, downshifting, blipping it, and
Lock them down. Yeah.
yeah, and you're at 60 miles an hour, right at the line, and nothing feels better than that. Whenever you go in there and you hit it right at 60.
Um, and so, yeah, well, when they came back out, I know Holroyd and Huffman were locked together, and then there was another Red Bull car that happened to be John Daniels. I kept calling him Clarence Prince because it's a Red Bull car and they're actually one number apart. So apologize to those two guys. I'm gonna have to figure out. Maybe I'll have to bribe one of them with some airtime or something to get them to make a white Red Bull paint instead of a dark one, just so I can keep them separate. But um, yeah, so apologize for getting them wrong. Not meaning to insult either one of them, but man, so John Daniels was just following in third while Holroyd was pushing Huffman. I really thought, I don't know. Then they came up and caught Mike Samia, and Mike Samia tucked in, and then it's a 5 car draft again, and it was insane. The Thaler brothers, Eric and Justin, had some help, and they were catching. They were like 3 seconds behind, and I kept seeing the gap get smaller, 3.5, 3.1. Next lap it was like 2.8. I'm like, oh, they're gonna catch him. It's gonna be a 15 car run to the line here. And then somebody got crossed up and uh, bumped Thaler up in the wall. He said he blew an engine. Apparently he did blow up. So I think that's really cool that if you have to watch your engine temps as well. That's something that I didn't know before today.
Yeah, JT, I was listening to that chat and just out of nowhere, he's like, I blew up. And I'm like, how in the world did you blow up? Like, you would have had to been glued to the back of Eric's bumper. And I guess he was for 2 laps solid, just shoving him. And they were making up time. He was saying they were catching
Yeah.
Huffman and Holroyd, but I guess it's better to do that in the duels because now you know what to look for when we head into the Sunday. But
So at what point do you need to pop out so that you don't blow up? Because I mean, I did see Aaron Holroyd. Like I thought during the stream, I was saying that okay, his steering is too sensitive, or I don't know if I would trust somebody that's moving around that much behind me. But maybe he was just cooling his engine off, and once again, showing how little I know or how much I don't know, whatever the right way to say that is. But it was cooling his engine off and get some air on his nose. and then coming back and giving Huffman a push without losing the draft.
Well, if you ask him that, he's going to tell you it was all planned out that way.
That was perfect. Right. It's exactly
Yeah.
how he planned it. Right.
I believe the magic number on the water temp was 240. I think JT said was the last number he's seen.
Before
Yeah.
he saw 0. Yeah.
Yeah, before he saw 0. So just keep an eye on your water temps. Don't let them go over 240. And normally the only time that happens is if you glue the front end of your car to the rear end of the car in front of you. You can draft without contact and be fine. I don't think it's going to heat up near as fast as what JT did. But JT just turned the two vehicles into one essentially, and he melted his engine.
Roger.
But
I
I'm
will say,
excited.
yeah, it got me pumped up, man. I mean, I'm glad to get some more practice in on the super speedways with doing the broadcast and running the cameras. But I was really impressed to see all the cooperation and the give and take. And man, when Mike Samia with that last lap coming out of turn 2, I think, gave Daniels a push and then got one more bump in before they came into 3, and Daniels went wide and Aaron Holroyd missed the block. And by the time they got to the line, Huffman was drafting him, and Daniels was by him, and it was too late. As you can see by your screenshot there, he got him sideways, man.
Yeah, close race there.
And I'm not
Well,
calling Aaron out. I see Aaron. Sorry, Aaron. Uh, it's all good, man. You got another chance. This was a non-points race, so it's all good. Learning moment.
yeah, it was funny seeing the chat after the race and Aaron just saying, "I had it run through my head. This is going to happen. You're going to do this, and then you do that. I wasn't expecting that."
Yeah.
So it's always good to see the cool down after the race and see how the other drivers react to the finish and what they were planning and stuff.
Another first-time winner, man. First time in the Cup Series on the oval. John Daniels brings home the win, and he's the championship points leader now.
Yeah, congrats, John Daniels. You are the provisional championship points leader. Let's see. Let's see how everybody fares in the Sunday race. It's going to be a fun one. So before we close out this podcast, Bud, I want to just touch on a couple things.
Yes. What's happening with the league? And you got some rules updates for us?
No. Just some quick things. I think I want to touch on just to help Josh out before we get into racing this weekend. So, Truck Cup guys, please, if you participated in the duels, react accordingly on whether you are showing up, taking a provisional, or not participating at all. If you did not participate in the duels and you want to participate this Sunday, please react accordingly if you can before Friday morning for trucks and before Sunday morning on Cup on whether you're going to run the race, take a provisional, or not participate.
Because there's no qualifying. You've already qualified at the duels.
Exactly, and we have to go in and manually set the lineup before the race. So if your name isn't on our list, we're not going to put you in the roster. So it means you will not get into the race.
Race sign-in is the thread.
In each of the channels at the very top, I believe at the very top of each race channel, so your Cup channel and your Truck channel, you're going to see a race sign-in thread. Go there to react to each race this season. It is vital that utmost importance that you react to this race this weekend, since we have to manually set the roster this weekend. So again, if you do not react for the race and you do not say that you're going to participate, we are not putting you in the roster, so you will not be able to race. But that's all I got for tonight. Aside from that, rules go into effect this weekend. No accidents after the start of the race. No accidents. After a restart, 5 laps each, and everybody tried to stay below 12 incident points.
I'm excited to get this oval season underway. It's been it seems like a fast off season, but it's time to go racing, man. I'm excited.
I think a lot of people were excited. It's going to be a fun season, and I'm ready to experience with everybody that's racing. So let's go have a good showing at Daytona and Kansas, and work our way into the season. That's
That's all I got, man. I'm
okay.
ready. You
That's
good?
same. That's same for me, man. Let's go ahead and close it down.
All right. Again, thanks to all the Midwest Motorsports admins for everything they do to make this happen, and thanks to everybody for joining us at Midwest Motorsports in the Cool Down Lap. For Ant Caster, I'm James J, reminding you to stay in your lane.